Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Marketing Superpowers. And today I get to hang out with my buddy, Brian Petro. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, Brian Petro. I should have checked before. And he is a fractional CMO and CRO. His company is Bright Productions in the marketing space. And the thing he wants you to know about him, above all, is that he is 100% marketing, but he has the soul of a salesperson. So he understands sales. So let's start there. Brian, can you tell us about that? The
Sure.
marketing and sales differentiator.
Yeah. So most people who do sales and marketing are sales.
Yep.
They live and love sales, and then at some point they got stuck with the marketing part. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't really why they were there, but somebody had
Yeah.
to do it, and there they go. So that's the norm.
Yeah.
So I'm weird because I've for 30 years had my own marketing agency. I live and breathe marketing. I love marketing. But I mean, my sales training started like when I was 7 selling candy bars to the other kids on the back of the bus. You know, Star Wars cards, excuse me.
Yeah.
And it went all the way through. It went from that to like, 4th grade, giving reports in front of the whole 4-H club to, and doing solos in band in high school to, that is sales training, by the way, to giving tours and dealing with donors in college, to starting my own business and knocking on doors and making cold calls. And yes, I have knocked on thousands of doors. I have made
Yeah.
many cold calls.
Yeah.
So all of that while still being a marketing person.
Dude, that's amazing. So when people ask you, okay, Brian, what do you do? What do you tell them? What do you do at Bright Productions? Bright.
Usually I go the short route, which is just say I'm a marketing consultant. I help people communicate what it is they do and help them get new clients.
All right. So how does your experience as a salesperson differentiate you and help you to be a better marketer?
So traditionally there is friction between those two departments, sales and marketing. Like standard thing would be like, the sales guys are saying, these leads are garbage, they're not any good, whatever. And then the marketing guy is saying, these leads are great, they're just lazy and not working them and blah, blah, blah. And that's like a normal and fighting
Yeah.
over budget and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where I'm look at the sales guys as like my secret weapon, part of the team. We go in,
Yes.
what are you seeing? What's going on? How can I help you? How can I enable you? They're my people.
Yeah, man. Right. And I love that. So the perspective here that I hear is that marketing is for the seller to some degree, right? Marketing is
Yeah,
supposed
well-
to.
No, there is no founder, no founder ever said, gee, I would love this wonderful brand that will sell nothing. Yeah. Said no founder ever.
Yeah.
So it all ultimately at some point comes down to sales.
Right. Yep. But we don't make that tie a lot of times cognitively between the two. But ultimately, if marketing is doing its job really, really well, then it makes the seller's job much easier.
Or you can have founders have that connection like too tight. Like they think that it is the same thing. Or
Right.
that I
Right.
have run into founders who want to pay marketing people on a commission.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not selling.
Yeah.
So it goes
You-
both ways.
You don't have your fingers on that button, right? The sales, like the actual conversion.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So part of the goal of this is to get to know you and where you sit in this kind of marketing ecosystem. It's also to help people that are watching this understand more about marketing, because marketing is just such a ubiquitous, like big, massive term. You can't really do anything with it. So I want to show people different kinds of marketers. And so let's start with you a little bit. So as far as the superpower quest, which is kind of intermingled with this, your core drive came through as harmony, which meaning above order and above progress. Although those are close, it sounds like you're one of those people that's kind of a triple threat. you care about all three. Harmony is a little higher on that, and then on our vision, direction, execution funnel, right? Vision being big picture, direction being the plans to get to the big destination, and then execution being actual feet on the street. You sit more in the direction or the direction layer of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So typically you have, and hopefully you have, founders that will have, or CEOs that will have the vision of where we're going. So that sits at the top. Then executive leadership should be strategy.
Yeah.
And that's me. And then you have execution, actual tactical boots on the ground stuff. I don't know, I've never probably looked at myself as a visionary. I think I run into so many people who are so creative so often, especially in my business, that it's a little intimidating. I don't necessarily feel like I'm that kind of visionary. Sure, I have original ideas, but
yes, you do.
But there's lots of people that are better at it than me. Tactical stuff, I actually like tactical stuff. At this point in my career, it doesn't make sense to do it. There's people who can do it cheaper and better than I can. So, yes, and pretty much everything I do, there are tactical people in those areas who are way better at it than me.
Yeah. No, that's good. So that's where you sit on the funnel, and that makes sense. So you're a strategy guy more than anything else. That's what you get called in for. And that CMO, CRO person is charged in helping to harness the organization towards the vision, right? Yep. And also contribute. If you're C-level, you're contributing a vision too, right? So you do have some of that.
Yeah, no, and you should. I like, for example, in a healthy relationship, the marketing leadership will play a role in product development.
Yes.
That's actually missed a lot of times. But if it's done right, that is part of the role, is all the way up to developing product.
Yeah. And so beneath that, right? So we've got your harmony, we've got direction, and then you put your hero types as leader, nurturer. So leader first, nurturer second. The leader is the coach, right? It's the person who is comfortable with being in charge, so to speak. Although I know for you, your style of leadership is not top-down domination. It's not, because it's so informed by the nurturer, which is you care for people deeply and you want to develop people into their potential. So tell us a little bit about that combo, how leadership works for you in your engagements.
So what you just reminded me of, I draw word pictures a lot. I am of the leadership type. I am the golden retriever. Oh, please just love me.
That's the nurturer. Yeah, absolutely.
So that is me. There are people that are quite effective at being sharks, but sharks, they know other sharks and they know golden retrievers, so they don't necessarily get along.
Yeah.
That it is my favorite part to. I have had great mentors in my life.
Yeah.
And I like to do that with other people. I just finished up a project with a couple people that I really enjoyed working with that were, fairly young and fairly inexperienced in what they were doing. And it was such a pleasure to work with them and lift them up and, leave the campsite better than it was when I got there.
Yes.
Yes. And that is one of my favorite things to do. Another place where that will come out is I was just talking to someone earlier today about clients that see vendors as adversarial relationship versus a partnership relationship, and that's an embodiment of my style. Is that generally speaking, I want to look at those people as partners to come alongside that I can learn from. Honestly, the conversation I had today was about a campaign in Meta on Facebook that the marketing manager had looked at it, and there were all these things in it that Meta was saying could be done to improve it. And she was saying she was going to talk to the agency that was running these and find out why they weren't doing these things. And I was like, okay, just so you know, Meta's goal is to make money, not necessarily to be your friend and help you. So their suggestions should be taken with a very healthy dose of salt.
Yes.
And I would suggest that conversation with the agency be like, hey, I saw these suggestions on there, but I know that they're not always our friend. So can you teach me why some of these things are smart for us to do and some of these things aren't, and whatever. And she was like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. I'm like, okay, great.
Right. Yep. So now you're inviting partnership instead of that adversarial spirit, right? We don't.
You're going to get better results. What did your mom tell you about sugar and vinegar? I mean, like
Yeah.
sometimes if people aren't performing or they don't know what they're doing or they're, poisonous, then you got to cut people loose. But that's
Yeah.
the exception, not the
Yes.
rule.
My friend Joshua Aranda says, assume noble intent, right? That's one of his kind of
Yeah.
maxims for life is assume noble intent, which is going to get you out of a lot of trouble of overreacting.
Yeah. No, I definitely, and I will go so far as to say, I'm fine with being wrong. Like if I am going to assume the best, sometimes I'm going to be wrong.
Yeah.
And I would rather be that person.
Yes. All right, so I'm going to circle and underline something that so just pulling something out for people that are watching, and this has been my experience with you, Brian, that you're a golden retriever style of a leader, which means what you get with Brian is a person that just earnestly cares, and he's a coach. He's a coach at heart. He loves to coach and lift people up. Very relational, and not transactional at all. That's what I think you and I have a very similar kind of go-giver philosophy about creating value and bringing generosity into the business environment, and just all the benefits of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that philosophy and how that philosophy became important to you?
I do not have a real specific answer to you. I think growing up, I probably like most people was fairly self-centered. Growing up, I mean, like you don't have to teach a kid to be self-centered; they just are. And I think that was part of my own maturity. I think that, frankly, just wanting to make sure that you win and you have the upper hand in some deal is self-defeating anyway. So I mean, just from a purely business point of view, it's not a good way to go.
Yeah.
But it's not really the person I want to be anyway. It's interesting that you use the word transactional.
Yeah.
Because I spend a lot of time both networking and helping people with networking.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of my pet peeves is that because I am in favor of, okay, so now I'm shifting gears slightly just to talk about networking, but this is because a lot of my life is in that area. I respect people wanting to have a process for networking, for example. I mean, most people don't. Most people, networking is like my Roomba. It's like it wanders around, bumps into the wall, turns, goes somewhere else, bumps into a wall, right? That's what it's like. If I talk to enough people, maybe I'll get lucky, okay? And that is not a strategy. It is. It's just not a particularly good strategy.
Sure.
So I have great respect for people who want to network and want to have a process in which to do so that's repeatable, that they can refine. I like that. However, it's really easy to develop a transactional situation where you're like, hi, I will pretend to be friends with you, and you can pretend to be friends with me, and I will give you this one person that I'm selling to you for the one person you will sell to me.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in that. And I don't think anybody does. It's just it kind of accidentally happens.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have been in these like networking groups where you go there every Thursday morning and you get bad coffee and stale donuts and you talk to the other gristled salespeople there in this little circle about the new business that's come to town. And again, there's good things about that too. I was in one that really had great social value.
Yeah.
But if you really want to network, then you want to help people, you want to learn about them, you want to keep your ears open, and you don't want it to be transactional. You want to give freely and then accept whatever happens to come your way.
And that's the line, isn't it? I think the line is, and it's really hard for people to understand this line because the line it defies process a little bit. And I was talking to Bob Berg about this. I got to speak with the author of The Go-Giver, which has been an influential book for me, and I think for you too, right?
I read it because of you. I liked it. I don't know if it was influential. I was kind of already there.
Wrong word.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
I liked it.
But we did talk about how, if you're having to fake it, right? If you're having to fake it, then you've missed the point. Just like what you're saying. If it's like I have to pretend to be friendly, or I have to pretend to be for someone else's interests above my own, then I've missed it. I've taken a wrong turn, right? Because it's heart work that needs to be done. Can I be a person who has released the outcome, right? And is not holding on to the outcome, but has released the outcome and truly is willing to go out and create value in the world and benefit people. With the faith, maybe, that living that way will produce results in kind, but not attaching that to any individual person, that I did this for you and I expect now a return to be yielded from that. Because the moment people feel that, you've basically broken the model.
Right. There's no, and that's the thing that's interesting, because again, I'm a sales and marketing guy.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of networking. And as soon as you sell, it's really hard to do that authentically.
Yeah.
Whereas, especially in a networking situation.
Yeah.
So if you turn that off, you said release, and that was what triggered something for me. It is a release. It's really funny because if you get on LinkedIn, okay,
Yeah.
the most popular way of networking online, all these people have all these competing things where they're trying to reach out and I have the solution to your problem, buy my stuff, look at all these companies I've worked for, I'm going to make you look good. There's all this stuff going on. But if you release that and if you go, I'm not selling, I am networking, which is what the network is actually built for.
It's about.
Shockingly, all of a sudden you are swimming with the stream instead of against it. And like, people want to talk to you and people are friendly. And I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these like 30-minute one-on-one chats from people I've met on LinkedIn. Every single one has gone well.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Yes. Yeah, I know, bro.
And so releasing that, like the self that you have to have, and letting that go. And I don't think this is actually, there's lots of things about things that I do that do have to do with faith. This doesn't. I don't think this is a specifically Christian thing at all. I think the idea of just like being a human being and wanting to help other people is all it takes.
It's magnetic. Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
And people can tell.
Yeah. In fact, we met that way. You and I met that way. You reached out to me through LinkedIn, and I said, let's hang out. And we had a positive conversation, right? Because if your metric is, did I make money off of that 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? Or if your metric is, did I sell that person something? Or if your metric is, did I get a hot lead from that conversation? Then you're going to have a lot of failures, right? But if your metric is, did I have a positive conversation? Did I make a friend?
There's even a better one. You're going to like this.
Yeah.
My metric is, when the other person got off the call, did the other person say, that was worth my time? That was, I'm glad I took that call.
Yeah.
That's the metric I'm looking for. Is I want to make it so the other guy goes, I'm glad, because let's be honest here. If you're meeting with somebody who you don't really know, who you met through LinkedIn, and you agreed to meet with them on Zoom, you are rolling the dice. You were like, I think this guy sounds like he's not crazy and kind of sell me a bunch of stuff. He seems like an okay guy. So he's rolling the dice. So when you get on the call and you're authentic and you don't try to sell them everything, it's a win for them. They're like, yes, I gambled and I won.
Yes. Yeah, man. And that goes back to, did I create value? Because the emphasis is creating value for other people. Yeah. I love the way you think, man. I just, it's consistently refreshing for me to hang out with you. Do you love LinkedIn, don't you?
Ooh, do I love LinkedIn?
You love LinkedIn.
I think it is an effective tool. I don't know. I think that it has served me well and allowed me to reach people I couldn't reach. So I like it. I don't know. In a perfect world, maybe I would, live someplace where I could do more things face to face.
Yeah.
I live way out in the sticks. I am a half hour from a freeway. Yeah. And I am embarrassingly in my basement right now.
Yeah.
And there are no windows. I have well-placed lights. And And so I can reach a lot of people through LinkedIn that I wouldn't reach. My tiny little town I love, and I do outreach. As a matter of fact, I'm active in the local chamber, and I've taught marketing classes at the community college, and I teach lunch and learns at the chamber, and I help with the local nonprofits. So I in church and all that. So I do all these things to try to connect here locally.
Yeah.
But business is all long distance. So and LinkedIn allowed me to do that. So I definitely am glad it's there.
And I think you have a good sense for how to leverage LinkedIn. I think you like when you even gave your example of swimming with the current of LinkedIn versus swimming against the current of LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. You know, LinkedIn really is about facilitating professional connection, right? Like that is, and if activities produce more professional connection or seem to be producing more professional connection, LinkedIn likes that.
Right.
And if they don't, then LinkedIn doesn't like that and penalizes that.
Right. No, that's true. And I think the more people that we have that are using it correctly, and when I say using it correctly, all I mean is like not shoving sales down your throat, the better off we are. There is one of the things that I battle is the perception that everybody is trying to sell you something. So it's not uncommon when I reach out in a way that I am attempting to be as genuine and non-salesy as possible. I do get my hand slapped sometimes anyway.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, it definitely happens. Why are you? Yeah, it's going to happen because the people that are aggressively salesy on LinkedIn, which, you know, it's so off-putting to me.
Yeah.
Right. Like when there's a message in my inbox that's like, "Did you know X?" and do you have this problem? Well, we can solve it for you. And I'm like, you're playing a completely different game than the game that's being played here, right? And I can't take you seriously.
Right. That's true. But on the flip side, again, we're talking about being a whole human being. People get awful brave behind a computer, and get self-righteous about it. Yeah. And if they get some message they don't like, they will be really snotty back sometimes. And it's like, you don't want to be that person either.
No, you don't. It's true. It's very true, man. So let's follow this a little bit further. So do you want to talk about your offering that you have on LinkedIn, like that LinkedIn?
Sure. Yeah. So I spend a lot of time. I do fractional CMO, CRO work. That's my main thing. I have a side gig, which is helping people, usually other consultants and fractionals, network with CEOs on LinkedIn. This is kind of the stuff we're talking about here. Yeah. And so I do a lot of just kind of free coaching, just like I'm doing right now. Yeah. A lot of that, which I actually like. But occasionally I'll have people who will say, will you do a bunch of this for me? And so I do have a done for you thing where basically I'm running a lot of this for them and helping them. They still are having these authentic conversations, but I'm warming people up and finding them and handing them off. That is, I actually really like, as a consultant, having a diverse portfolio of work that I do. Yes. And that means not only having multiple clients, that's a diverse portfolio, but also having different size clients. That's, some big and some little. That makes it more diverse. And then on top of that, some of them are these, strategic level, C-level positions that I'm covering fractionally. But some of them, when I help people with networking on LinkedIn, super nitty-gritty tactical. And that increases the diversity of the work that I'm doing. So it makes the whole little business of mine more resilient. Plus, I like getting my hands dirty some.
So you coined a phrase with me months ago, and you called it referral gen.
Okay,
that's how you described it. And you contrasted it with lead gen. Mm-hmm. How does that referral gen philosophy fit with your service? Your done for you LinkedIn networking service. Can you talk about those and how that meshes together?
Yeah. So lead gen, people probably know what that is. You're paying people, sometimes even per lead, to get you meetings, hopefully with people who want to buy your stuff. Okay. Yep. And it's really the dog eat dog,
transactional,
sharky transactional thing. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing immoral about it. Sure. It's just something different than what I do. So because I'm selling C-level marketing and revenue work, generally to CEOs and founders, what I need, and not just me, everybody, every consultant, every fractional like me, they all will agree with this, which is the king is referrals and introductions. You have to have referrals and introductions to the people who will hire you, or else they will not hire you, period. That's the only way you get business, is referrals and introductions. So how do you get those? How do you build a machine to regularly get those to you? So swimming with the stream instead of against it, I get on LinkedIn and I go out and pretty quickly, within a half hour, establish new relationships with new people, build trust, don't sell them anything. And then at the end of that, ask for a referral or an introduction. Say, oh, by the way, I do this CMO work. I've worked with a bunch of blah, blah, blah type companies. Do you know somebody that I can help? And that's the salesiest thing I'll do, is ask for that referral and introduction.
Right.
So that I had to come up with a term, because nobody really, it wasn't easy for me to describe what it was I was doing, because I wasn't, like, these meetings I was setting up, they weren't leads. They were not qualified. They weren't, nobody had indicated they wanted to buy anything, which is fine, because I wasn't looking at them as prospects. I didn't want to sell them anything. So that's just fine. So the idea is you talk with people who are vetted, targeted. They are they know the people who you want to sell to.
Yeah.
Establish a relationship with them, try to help them. So there's strategy behind this. Be a nice human being, and then ask for a referral. Then when you have that referral, now you can go out and you can sell to those people. You can say, hey, Bob told me that you've got a challenge with XYZ. Tell me about that. Maybe I can help you out. That's a different style of conversation. And that's referral gen. Is that what I was calling it?
Yeah, referral gen. That's what you called it. Which I've used that term. I give you credit for it when I use the term. So I love that you forgot that you said it, but it's fine. But I do, because it helped me very quickly understand the concept. Right. It's a word given to a concept that you and I both understand natively.
Yeah, but I think that your use of the word transactional, you've said that a couple different times, is really descriptive to help people get there with this. This is not transactional.
Right.
Almost all of the calls I make do not end up with leads or business.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about the bad side. We're talking about how wonderful all this stuff is. This style of outreach takes a lot of time.
Yes.
Money and clients do not rain out of the sky. This is hard. This is doing it playing the long game, doing it the right way, building a real network. But I mean, when I started doing this, it took me 6 months before I got my first client.
Yeah.
It is not, there's tons of people who would love to tell you, they'll, hey, buy my stuff. I'll get you clients tomorrow. I'll have 20 appointments, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I am not saying any of that.
Right. Right. It makes sense. But for people that understand the value, and so you're looking for, in general, a person like that's a CEO or a founder, and they have a product that benefits other CEOs or founders, and they're looking for relationships that they can cultivate, where there can be a co-referral relationship based on friendship and a friendly interaction, right? Like that, you're going to be minded that way already if you're going to sign up with Brian, either to learn from him or to actually have Brian do it for you.
Clients that I'm doing this done for you version of it, they are usually fellow consultants and fractionals who a lot of times they want to do the work and they hate the idea of doing business development. That's just not their thing.
Okay.
And so basically I will help work their pipeline. I will queue up targeted, vetted people for them to network and hand off to. And then they can establish those relationships. I'm just trying to take as much of the time so they can spend their time hopefully doing billable work where they're making money.
Yes.
It is difficult to have that balance of doing paid work but also working your pipeline enough so you don't have this roller coaster of busy, dead.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so consultant, a coach or consultant is generally the person that's going to sign up.
Usually.
Yeah. Okay. That all makes sense. Now, what's your ideal for the other? Are these things really just completely separate from each other? This and then the CMO, CRO work that you do, or do they bleed into each other?
They can.
At
I mean,
times?
it's not unusual for me to bring, because I know a bunch about LinkedIn, to bring
Yeah.
in LinkedIn things for clients that I'm doing sales and marketing work for.
Yeah.
So I can and will do that. It depends on the client and what they need. It also depends on their patience,
Yeah.
because this is a long game,
Yeah.
and not everybody is patient enough to do it.
Right.
But yes, they do. They're mostly separated, but I sometimes do. And same thing the other way. I have talked to people about this cool networking thing I do, and they go, wow, this guy sounds like he might be interesting. We have this new product line we're rolling out, and we need some help with that. And I've ended up getting hired as a fractional for things like that. Although I am learning that I mentioned this earlier, I like smaller engagements. So I have had multiple times, I've had engagements that are like half of my time. They're like 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I think it's better as a business model and better for the client to actually have smaller engagements and more clients.
Okay.
So that's, I don't think, I mean, I could change my mind, but I don't think I'm going to take on clients of that size anymore.
So then describe to me your ideal client. So tell me what they're like.
On the fractional side,
Yes.
they're generally small companies, let's say, I don't know, under 10 million in revenue for sure. 3 to 5 million. I'm just making up numbers here.
That's fine.
That are stuck, that are overworked, that know they need C-level help in marketing. But, every founder knows something about marketing because they couldn't have gotten this far without it. But they're too busy and they don't have time and they want more expertise. So those people, I can come in and help develop their internal team.
Yep.
So the goal isn't for me to do all the work or for the CEO founder to do it all. They might have a marketing person or a small team that I can come and hopefully turbocharge. It's generally a monthly fee to do that. And it can be like, I've got one right now where the goal was to work myself out of a job. We don't know exactly when, but at some point they'll get far enough along that they don't need me. Or it can be ongoing. Whatever, as long as I'm helpful, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And is there any other indicator of a successful relationship for you? Are there particular industries that you're drawn to? Disposition of the leadership, like those kind of
I am
things?
industry agnostic. I've worked in, consumer products and food, but I've also worked for defense contractors and, all kinds of crazy mix, high tech and e-commerce. I work the most in food. I kind of like food, but I wouldn't say, it's just that I like it. I've done a ton of all kinds of different stuff. Food is interesting from a marketing point of view because it's B2B to C. You are selling, you're working for the client and not usually selling directly to the consumer. And the really big brands that everybody knows usually have terrible marketing because their main goal is distribution. They just they pay to put stuff on a shelf and then people will buy it. So clients of mine are like little scrappier ones that can't afford to buy their way onto the shelves, where you actually need creative, interesting marketing. Which is that's where there's more fun. The big food brands, like if you've ever looked at a big food brand's website, they're like, okay, this looks like somebody, I don't know, like when is somebody
like Tyson or something like that? Is that what we're talking about?
Like any of these big companies, they don't need creative marketing. They need to hit the minimum threshold because they're going to pay huge dollars to just take up shelf space. So here's an example. Okay. Clothes, laundry detergent. Okay. Laundry detergent comes in giant bottles, right? So they can, and occasionally they say, "Ooh, we're making this like more condensed," So, because think about all the money that they spend shipping around basically bottles of water with some soap in it, right? Huge, huge money. So it would be way cheaper for them and more profitable for them to have smaller bottles that are more concentrated, right?
Yes.
Except they want to take up shelf space. They want to edge out everybody else. So they have these big bottles. This is my opinion, because they can buy them up and then nobody else can get in there.
Yeah.
And those are all the giant brands. I mean, are there any little brands that sell laundry detergent? I mean, like there's a few, but not many.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
market share is like, 95% all the big
Yep.
boys.
Yeah.
So that's how they sell stuff is, and some, mass marketing stuff, although TV isn't as big as it was, but a
Yeah.
lot of it is just buying up the shelves. There's nothing
Yeah.
creative in there.
Yeah.
Whereas I've done some fun stuff for little brands.
Yeah. So can you give the next question that's coming is, what's your marketing superpower? Okay. So that's coming up. But before we get into what your marketing superpower is, can you give me an example of a success story with a like you just said, like a scrappy brand?
Yeah. So I worked for almost 20 years with Bubby's Pickles.
Yeah.
Bubby means grandma in Yiddish.
Yeah.
When we started working with them, they were in, I don't know, 3-4 states.
Yeah.
And they're an international brand now. They grew to millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of sales. They were a great company to work with. Eventually, they were purchased by private equity. The private equity company was specifically they bought up a bunch of fermented food brands, and they wanted a iconic, most expensive brand there is. We have arrived. This is the best stuff brand. And it was Bubby's. And Bubby's awesome. I worked on it a lot with a mentor of mine who came up with their slogan. Their slogan is awesome. Now remember, Bubby is Yiddish for grandma. Okay.
Yeah.
So their icon their mascot is this Jewish grandmother. So the slogan for Bubby's Pickles is, eat my pickles, wear clean underwear, marry a doctor. I mean, how awesome is that? I did not write that. My mentor did.
So good. Yeah.
But yeah. So big success. They made huge money. We made lots of money. Everybody was happy. Great brand.
Yeah. All right. So cool. So tell me the marketing superpower then. Like that's followed you through your career. The thing that you do the best, the thing that comes up roses when you do it, right? Like what is that for you?
If I have to pick one on the spot,
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I will. I'm going to say empathy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say empathy. I think successful marketing is being able to put yourself in other people's shoes, and not trying to cram what you want into them, but to try to be what they need or want, and their desires and their point of view, their perception, all of that. So if I had to pick one, and I don't think I'm the best at empathy by any stretch, but I think that's one of the important keys to when I do things and they go especially well, is that we've done a good job of looking at it from the other point of view.
Yeah. Well, dude, you're such a positive, and as we kind of come to a close, I want to name a couple things. First of all, you're just such a positive force in every room that I see you in. And you do kind of have this authoritative energy because you have a lot of experience and because you kind of have that C-level understanding of how marketing works. So, I never get the sense that you don't know what you're talking about or that you're overthinking.
I faked you out.
But it is combined with this gentleness and this nurturing, and it sounds much more like a coach than a boss, right? You sound like, hey, let's go, let's do this together. This is how this works, or I want to help you out of this situation. So I'll tell you my perspective on it. You're just very generous with information, very generous with wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom to give, and I think anybody would benefit greatly from working with a person like you, or working with you specifically. Because of your
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and everybody who got to watch. Thank you for watching Marketing Superpowers, and that's Brian Petro, my friend, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Johnny.
Hey, thanks a lot.